As Israel continues to grapple with a growing shortage of combat troops amid multiple security challenges, the IDF has now found itself enforcing new rules on tank crews after pressure from influential religious groups and concerns raised by religious schools. Questions are increasingly being raised over whether threats from religious institutions and community leaders are beginning to shape key military decisions at a time when Israel's armed forces are facing mounting operational demands and recruitment pressures. After a group of rabbis threatened to stop sending students into armored units, the Israeli military moved to reassure religious communities by clarifying that male and female soldiers would not be required to serve together inside the same tank. The controversy has emerged even as Israel remains engaged in renewed tensions and military confrontation with Iran, creating fresh concerns that domestic disputes could complicate military planning during a period of heightened regional instability. The debate has exposed a deeper struggle within the IDF, as military leaders attempt to balance an urgent manpower shortage with religious sensitivities, social traditions, and the growing demand for additional combat personnel. Threats from influential religious groups have reportedly forced Israel's military to modify its approach toward tank crews, exposing the difficult balance between manpower needs and religious sensitivities during a period of troop shortages. According to the Times of Israel, the Israeli military clarified that male and female soldiers will not serve together inside the same tank, seeking to address concerns raised by religious leaders over plans to integrate women into the armored corps. The IDF's response came after religious schools and rabbinical leaders objected to a pilot program that could allow female soldiers to serve in armored units, arguing that it conflicted with their religious principles. According to reports, 12 Hesder yeshivas threatened to stop sending their students to tank units if the military moved forward with plans that they believed would require male and female soldiers to serve together. In response, the Israeli military insisted that female tank crews would remain separate from male soldiers, while maintaining that the pilot program is intended to examine operational needs without compromising existing military standards. According to the Times of Israel, the Israeli Defense Forces said, and I quote, "After approximately 2.5 years of intense, multi-front and unprecedented war, during which the operational missions of the IDF were expanded, and the burden on the reserve forces increased significantly, the IDF needs every male and female combat soldier. As the People's Army, the IDF places the highest importance on integrating all populations, while making a great effort to preserve their way of life and needs, in a manner that does not harm one population at the expense of another." The High Court of Justice did not instruct the IDF to enlist female soldiers into the armored corps, but rather instructed it to conduct the planned pilot on the matter. A pilot, by definition, is an initial trial intended to examine the possibility of continuing the program. The pilot will be conducted in accordance with the military's protocols on men and women serving together, while ensuring compliance with all required operational and professional standards, and in accordance with operational needs. We have maintained continuous contact with the heads of Hesder yeshivas and their representatives, alongside other figures in the religious Zionist community, regarding this matter. Israel's High Court ordered the IDF to begin a pilot program for female soldiers in the armored corps by November, increasing pressure on the military to move forward with plans that had faced repeated delays. According to reports, the IDF came under growing legal and public pressure to launch the Women's Tank Corps pilot after postponing the initiative multiple times over concerns related to operational and organizational requirements. Despite the controversy surrounding the integration of women into armored units, the military reportedly planned to operate gender-segregated tank crews in an effort to address concerns raised by religious communities. Reports suggested that issues related to modesty and religious sensitivities were a major factor behind the decision to keep male and female tank crews separate during the pilot program. However, while men and women may not serve together inside the same tanks, reports indicated that they could still find themselves serving alongside one another at the battalion and brigade levels. The future of the program is expected to become clearer soon, with IDF Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir reportedly set to review the Women's Tank Corps pilot and determine the next steps. The Israeli military insisted that expanding women's participation in combat roles was a practical response to operational needs and manpower shortages, rather than an ideological or social initiative. According to reports, the IDF said it urgently required around 12,000 additional recruits amid wartime strain, highlighting the growing pressure on Israel's military manpower resources. Dozens of ultra-Orthodox protesters gathered outside the home of a Supreme Court justice, turning a long-running dispute over military conscription into a direct confrontation with Israel's judiciary. The judge had previously backed measures against ultra-Orthodox Jewish students who refused mandatory military service, including orders related to the enforcement of draft obligations. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the protest and called on police to take what he described as a hard line against those responsible for the unrest. The Israeli Prime Minister took to social media and said, "I strongly condemn the violent rioting against Judge Noam Solberg. Law enforcement authorities must exhaust the full severity of the law against the rioters." Justice Noam Solberg had previously called for stronger enforcement measures against Haredi draft evasion, arguing that the state needed to take meaningful steps to address military service violations. Following the protest outside their residence, Justice Solberg's wife, Mira Solberg, publicly spoke out about the incident, describing the unrest and damage in remarks reported by the Jerusalem Post. Wife of Supreme Court Justice Noam Solberg, Mira Solberg told to the reporters of the Jerusalem Post, and I quote, "It cannot be that Jews do this to one another. We are children of Holocaust survivors. Jews harming each other like this. How can it be? How can it be? Look at the destruction. A pogrom. What is this? A Kristallnacht. How is this possible? There are no words." The demonstrations were part of a broader wave of ultra-Orthodox opposition to military conscription, with protesters rallying against court-backed efforts to expand draft enforcement. According to reports, anti-draft activists also harassed police officers at their homes on 2 separate occasions over the past 2 weeks as tensions continued to escalate. Opponents of conscription further disrupted public life by blocking major highways in protest against attempts to enforce military service obligations. The unrest comes after the legal framework that had long allowed widespread Haredi draft exemptions expired in June 2023, leaving the issue unresolved. As the crisis deepened, pressure mounted on Israel's governing coalition to pass new legislation addressing military service requirements for the ultra-Orthodox community. In a key ruling, Justice Noam Solberg argued that meaningful criminal penalties should be considered as part of a broader effort to combat military draft evasion. Israeli authorities have increasingly moved to limit long-standing draft exemptions as the military faces growing manpower pressures and seeks to expand recruitment. The debate has intensified as Israel continues military operations on multiple fronts, with ongoing conflicts and security commitments adding to the demand for additional personnel.